anyways, because why not? Who knows? So, hi, welcome to the Wednesday We Made It podcast. I'm streaming live on Facebook, streaming on YouTube, and let's see if it does not. Oh yeah, maybe it is. Ooh, holy crap, maybe this is. All right. So you can find me on YouTube under. Okay, let's start this from the beginning. Okay, let's start all over. Hello, hi, welcome to the Wednesday We Made It podcast. I'm your host, Robert Brown. You can find me on Instagram under 12 Brown. That's TWELVEBROWN. You can also find me on Facebook under Ronin Brown. That's RONINBROWN. And I am also broadcasting on YouTube under either the Diametrically Agreeing podcast, which is going to change, or Brushing Teeth with Robert, which is also going to change. I've already decided that. Today's podcast is brought to you by. Hold on, let me go back. Sorry. MarcoWillio.com. That's MarcoWillio.com. Marco Willio for all your artists. He's a phenomenal artist. And also all your coffee needs. Speaking of which, I need to go get my cup of coffee. He makes unbelievable coffee. Give me 30 seconds. Host the podcast for me, Dave. Can you do that? No, because you're a dog and dogs don't do podcasts. I wonder if they do have a podcast that's done by dogs. I bet you they do. Okay, brought to you by Marco Willio, MarcoWillio.com. Unbelievable coffee and art needs. Remember, if you like coffee or good art, MarcoWillio.com. That's a good cup of coffee. MarcoWillio.com. He is awesome. Marco is a great person. He does a fantastic cold brew, which I buy for an insane amount of money, at least twice a week, but it's completely worth it. Highly, highly suggested. I don't know if he can ship for anybody who is out. Let's see, close unused applications. Okay, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to dismiss this. Okay, very good. I don't care. I don't care what you're saying, Facebook. So this is what I'm trying. Okay, so just in case anybody is wondering what I'm doing here, because I'm basically what I'm doing. I have two windows open. I have a live window for Facebook, by the way, which is Ronin Brown, RONINBROWN. And then I have my YouTube open. I don't know if my laptop can handle any of this. I cheap out on everything. So I don't even know if it's working, but I'm hoping it's working. I guess we'll see. Um, Also, by the way, one of the best ways, and the reason I'm doing this is because of this. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can always call in. It's 512-952-9489. I need to burp. And then that way, this phone is free. This phone is completely free to use, and I don't have to worry about having to close down my Instagram if somebody calls or anything like that. You'd also join me Instagram live. I'm not even, hold on. God, we got to start all over again. I got to do it again. Hello. Welcome to the Wednesday We Made It podcast. For all those just joining me on Instagram, because I didn't start my live button, you can reach me on Facebook under Ronin Brown. That's RONINBROWN. Also on YouTube under Brushing Teeth with Robert, or the Diametrically Agreeing podcast, which those are changing. I've already decided the title's changing completely. All right. And for those of y'all just joining me on Instagram, today's podcast is brought to you by MarcoWillio.com. That's MarcoWillio for all your art and unbelievably delicious coffee needs. Please reach out to Marco Willio at MarcoWillio.com. Remember, he sells coffee because he needs a penis enlargement. So we're working on the slogan. That we're just workshopping things. I told him it's a little too true. So, but we're workshopping. Okay. So MarcoWillio.com for all your coffee and art needs. Now, thank you for joining. By the way, we made it to Wednesday. I love you all very, very much. I'm glad you woke up above ground. Please take a moment to be grateful that you are able to breathe air, you have shelter, you have food. Please be grateful for these things because if you didn't have any of those things, you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast because you might be dead. So feel free to be grateful. Be grateful that you're able to breathe and drink water and have shelter. Feel okay with it on this Wednesday because we made it halfway through the week, and that's a lot better than a lot of people did because people die every day. Okay, so um, I was just kind of workshopping some things that I was going to talk about on the podcast, and I wasn't really certain what I wanted to do here. All right, so I threw some stuff together real quick, and some of it goes back to the past podcasts I've been doing. And I've noticed that I keep saying something. So I make no secrets about it. I am in recovery. I am in a program. I've been in AA for quite some time. And I don't pussyfoot around it. I don't tiptoe around it. I'm okay with telling people. Okay. Now, every once in a while when I mention AA, I'll mention something that's done in AA. And what I mention is this: it's very cult like. There are cultish things that are happening there. There are like there are certain things we say all together as a chant that or we read from a book and we talk about the Reverend Bill W. These all honestly, I'm just gonna say it. They reek of a cult at times. Okay, now I'm not saying that in a bad way. So I don't want anybody out there that's in the program that's listening or anybody going sober for this to influence you in any way, shape, or form. That's not my motive. My motive is just to point out something that happened to me yesterday that made me start thinking even more heavily about this. Now, there are certain things and phrases we say and things during the steps that are odd, and I find odd that make me raise an eyebrow sometimes. All right. And one of these things is known as the fifth step. Okay. Look, I have a big book. You know why? Because I'm a good boy in AA. All right. Now, for those of y'all who do not know what AA is, that would be stupid. Because I think everybody knows what it is. I'm going to tell you this. AA is a 12-step program, and in those steps, you give yourself wholeheartedly to it, and supposedly it helps to increase the chances of your sobriety. Now, does it? Nobody really knows because AA doesn't keep any numbers. So there's no proof or fact that AA works. Okay, there isn't. There's only individual and personal fact that it works. Now, in fact, there have been many shows done on this and many myth busting shows. One of my favorites is one that was done by the magician's Penn and Teller, and it was a TV show they did called Bullshit, where they would not debunk, but they would present both sides to different arguments. One of my favorite, by the way, was Wine Tasters, and how much bullshit that is, how much bullshit a sommelier is. Oh, it was fantastic. Like they used boxed wine and shit. It was so good. Um, but yes, AA is a 12-step program. Supposedly, if you give yourself wholeheartedly to these 12 steps, it helps you recover or have a greater chance of maintaining a recovery from an addiction. Now, in these 12 steps, which they're all fairly simple but very in depth when you practice them, one of the things during a meeting yesterday is we talked about the fifth step. That was our topic. Okay. By the way, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to the We Made It Wednesday We Made It podcast. You can find me on Instagram under 12 Brown, which is TWELVEBROWN. You can find me on Facebook under Ronin Brown. That's RONINBROWN. You can also find me on YouTube under Brushing Teeth with Robert or the Diametrically Agreeing podcast, either or. Now, let's talk about the fifth step. All right. Oh, you can also feel free to call in, by the way. Phone number is 512-952-9489. You feel free to call in, ask any questions, ask advice, make a comment. Tell me I suck. I'm all right with that. I kind of know I do, and I'm all right with it. So, back to what we're talking about. Now, the fifth step is this. Okay. The fifth step of AA is admitted to God, to ourselves. This is the part that I thought is okay. Hold on. Before I tell you the entire step, let me full disclosure and let you know that I've been through all 12 steps. Now, do I feel like I've been through them as thorough as possible? No, because you continue to go through them in your life. But I have been through them. So I want to let you know that before I criticize this, I have done this step. All right. This is a step I have done. All right. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Okay. All right. Now, admitted to God and ourselves. Oh, okay. Good. That's house cleaning. Admitted to another human being the exact natures of our wrongs. Now, this was part of the reading yesterday. Okay. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confidential step. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problems. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Okay, we're going to talk about this fifth step. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Now, why? Why? To live long and there seems like such a sense of guilt in that sentence. Like, like unless you do this, you're gonna die soon and you're gonna live a horrible life. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay. I've come to the terms that my addictions and my alcoholism caused me to live a pretty shitty and unhappy life. I understand that. I understand the choices that happened. But that sentence seems a little rough. It seems a little rough. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Okay, what if I want to live short and happily? What if I want to live long and miserably? What if I want to live short and miserably? You know, I mean, it's it's making you seem or making that sentence makes me feel like there's this weird judgment call that life is going to be happy and life is going to be long and joyous because we've gone through these steps. But in the same context, they'll tell you in Alcoholics Anonymous that life happens. No matter what, life is still happening. Miserable shit is still going to happen. So you're still going to be fucking miserable. That's the weird fucking part about this. It's just like, that's the weird part. Now, somebody a while back who I talked to had been sober for a long time. And they also had a partner that had been sober even longer. And they did not go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And were not in a program. And I asked them why. And they said it felt like they were like they were being babysat. And that's what this fifth step makes me feel like. I have to be honest with you. I just have to say it. That's what it seems like. Now, again, I want to say, oh no. Should you be calling in? Okay. Hi, you're live on the We Made It Wednesday podcast.
I'm calling in.
Oh, you are calling. You are actually calling in the podcast.
I am. I know. I saw you're live. I'm calling in.
Okay. Can we say who you are? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, shout inbuilt out. Shout that.
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
M-Built Instagram. Hello, son of mine. I love you.
Hey,
Tell me you love me back.
I love you too.
Okay. Hi. For all those that don't know, this is my son Logan, and he has decided to call in. Hey, by the way, welcome to the Wednesday We Made It podcast. Are you a first-time caller and long-time listener?
First-time caller, first-time listener. I haven't had time to listen. Been busy.
Well, you have listened to me your entire life, so that
I've listened to you my entire life. You're talking about sobriety?
I am talking. I'm starting off the sobriety. I'm starting off the podcast by talking about the fifth step, and this is the reason why. I know you didn't catch the beginning of the podcast, is that right? Hey.
Hello.
Yeah. Did you catch the beginning of the podcast?
No, I didn't. I just tuned in.
Okay. So over the last podcasts I've done in the last week leading up to this, every once in a while I will mention how there are things in AA that I do, or that AA does, or that the group does as a whole, that has a cultish feel to it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. One of the things, and you've been to a meeting, so none of this is going to be foreign to you, because I know you've been to one or two. Which is
I'm actively in Al-Anon.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, that's nice to know. Okay, so I did well. You're welcome. I damaged you enough where you have to go to a meeting. So what I tell you one time, I said, you may not be rich, but your psychiatrist will be.
I don't have one. I refuse to get one.
Smart move. Smart move. So like one of the things is you say, what is it? God will, would, and could if they were sought. That's one of the things that's repeated as a whole. Also, are these extravagant promises? And then everybody in the meeting says, we think not, all together. The prayer at the end. These things kind of, and the picture of Bill W. up on the wall. Like, there are certain things I've alluded to in the last week where AA makes me feel a little uncomfortable because there are some cultish aspects to it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking about step 5 right now.
Yes.
You know what step 5 is, right?
Yes. Okay. Taking a moral inventory of your misdoings, an honest inventory of your misdoings to others.
No, that's 4. Number 5 is admitting your wrongdoings to God, yourself, and another person.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. How often do you go to Al-Anon?
Every week.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
Did I fuck you up that bad? Yes. Just say yes.
No, I have a fucking alcoholic girlfriend, motherfucker.
Okay. I'm trying to take credit for some shit here, okay? Let me take credit.
Okay.
Let me take credit for the shit here, all right?
You should take credit for? How long you been sober now?
Hold on. 150 days. Hold on one second.
Still has a beer gut? Why don't you take responsibility?
Oh, you motherfucker. Stop looking at it.
Take responsibility for core. How about that?
Okay. Hold on one second. Casey, I see you on the line. Hold 1 second. Let me finish talking to my son. You can join me next, all right? I have callers waiting, by the way. Jesus Christ.
Just some baked beans waiting, too, back there.
Stand. I can't sit in any way in which you can't see it. Relax. It's an awkward position. So you heard the paragraph I read, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that first sentence is a little fucking weird. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Now, what do you think? Tell me your overall thought? What's your thought, son of mine?
Yeah, lying is stressful as fuck. Lying to people is taxing, but lying to yourself is like subconsciously bad for your health, because when you lie to yourself, you know you're fucking lying. It's you, right? You have to have like kind of a like pretty serious amount of like mental delusion to like successfully lie to yourself. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't.
People don't.
Most people do not. Right.
It's like you want to know like the number one fucking like signifier that like lying, like a lot of people lie to themselves and are bad at it.
Wearing skinny jeans.
American divorce rates. Look at the divorce rate in America.
Oh, right.
All those people that lie to themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's like a real healthy indicator. And remember that number. This is completely off the side, but this is a conversation I had the other day. That's just the people that decided to get divorced.
Right.
That is not
the people who are still in miserable marriages. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like people will lie to themselves. It's not good.
Right.
It's not good. It's a very like, and the hardest part about that is it is very honest, and that's what makes it so uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, I'm going to I duly noted comment. I love what you said there. Now, if I could ask you one more big generic question before I let you go, which is, do you believe that AA is a cult?
Okay, so that's an interesting one that I have not a direct answer to, because it depends on how you define cult. I know there's a real definition for cult. I do not know what it is. So if I knew that definition, I could probably offhand tell you my thoughts.
Let's say the way you design it. Let's say the way you define it. Do you define it as a cult?
I don't think so. I think AA tries to ride a very narrow and difficult fence, which is they are an organization that obviously has founding Christian principles, but has to be open to all people, regardless of race or creed or anything like that. You can be an AA and not be a Christian. That's why they like kind of do like higher power. Right. They don't do God. They don't do the Abrahamic God. But like, if you were a Christian,
cults aren't Christian either, by the way.
Well, and fair. However,
the only difference between a cult and the only difference between cult and religion is 2,000 years. Fair?
Exactly. Sure. And if you have been a part of church culture, which has been a long time since you've had to go to mass regularly, but if especially in the modern day and like current Christian church culture, especially like the big non-denominational like kind of bullshit movement that's happening right now, it's very, very cult-like. So I think it's like part of the nature. Like AA aims to reprogram your mind, because as an addict, you do have a debilitating like mental disease, right? And that has to be combat to like force of will doesn't work for alcoholics. It doesn't.
Okay. All right. Listen, I have a viewer waiting on Instagram Live. I appreciate all your comments. You know what? You should call him more often, because I love everything that you had to accomplish.
Yeah. Final comment?
Yes.
I'll send you my core routine. I'll send you what I do for core.
You're such a fucking dick. Fuck off. You're such an asshole.
Fine.
Send it. Fine. I'll look at it. Yeah. Fine. Send it. I'm also almost fucking 50. All right. I'm almost 50.
Hey, man, that's no excuse.
All right.
That's no excuse.
All right. I gotta go. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Bye. All right. My son, who was gracious enough to call in for the Wednesday podcast. And now we have somebody on Instagram Live. Let's see if they're still here. Boom, 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 boom. Nope, they are gone. Are they? Hello? Okay, no. Okay, well, welcome. Oh, there she is. Hi, Casey. How are you? You called in. You have to show yourself. It's just the way it is.
No, I didn't know I was going to be turned around. No. Okay, I can't turn around. I don't know if this is the first time I've ever been on Instagram Live.
Well, hello, Casey. Welcome to the Wednesday. Wednesday, we made a podcast. Thank you for joining me here on Instagram Live. By the way, if you are joining me, please look me up on Facebook. Facebook Live under RONINBROWN. I'm on Instagram TWELVEBROWN, and you can also feel free to call in like my son just did, 512-952-9489. Now, we are joined by Casey. Casey, yes, you would like to add something to the conversation.
This is too controversial.
What is too controversial?
This person won't take it.
Like, is it too like? Okay, so what you're saying is it too controversial to question whether AA and the 12-step program is cult-like or cultish?
Those questions have been asked before, and
Oh, okay. Okay, you have been asked this question before, okay? Because so as you know, through the week, I've been kind of questioning this. I have brought this up a couple times, and you were in the meeting yesterday with the fifth step when we talked about the fifth step. All right. And I would like to say, okay, and we don't have to name names or anything like that, but I'm just saying that it seemed like anytime the fifth, fourth, and fifth and sixth step get brought up in meetings, everybody gets real sketchy about sharing. Everybody gets real timid about how they say things and how they approach it. And I think admitting to another, and this is what I wrote. I'm going to tell you what I wrote. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I wrote down. In AA, I agreed to give all of my things to all my shortcomings, all my credits, my path to a higher power. Agreed. I did. I have no problem with that. Okay. I did not agree to give it to another human AA. Now, I did not agree to give that to somebody else. I agreed to give it to a higher power. Okay. I also agreed to give my path to a higher power. I did not agree to give my faults. Now, okay, full disclosure, I did. I've been through the 12 steps. I did. Okay. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing because it's kept me sober. I'm just questioning some stuff. All right. Like telling someone your life's faults. Now, in cults, for instance, and I wrote this as an example, Scientology. Okay. If you've looked into Scientology at all, they have a thing called auditing. It's where you sit in a room with a person in front of you and you tell them everything about your life and everything you've done wrong. And it's called auditing. Now, here are the issues with auditing. Generally, when you tell a friend or a family member, which they recommend in AA, they recommend you could tell a friend or a family member. Okay. I cannot imagine telling a friend or a family member my life's faults because I am positive it would be no, okay, I'm not positive, but it could easily lead to separation, revolt, regression of a relationship because of how shitty of a person I've been or whoever's been. I'm just using me as an example. Okay. Now, also, if you don't, let's say you tell a friend, okay, let's say you tell a friend like auditing Scientology, well, then it can be used against you in the future in any circumstance. These all breathe of cultish kind of proclivities. Now, I'm not saying it is. Please, if anyone's listening out there, listen. AA's done wonders for me. I am not saying it is a bad thing, but I'm also not saying it's not fair to question things every once in a while. Yesterday's meeting, I realized how much everybody was tiptoeing about talking about the fifth step. And all of a sudden I realized, oh shit, you know why? Because it's a fucked up tightrope. And Logan, I think, said it best is that they are AA is riding a very close fence line because they have to. They have to run a very close fence line of a program that you have to give yourself to in order to save yourself. In the same respect, not overreaching into the Christianity or religious side of what could be considered bullshit. And I think that was fair of him to say. Now, please feel free to add. Sorry about that.
I'm trying to process all this. So I noticed you didn't share.
I did not. I did not share. I did not share. I wanted to sit there and I wanted to listen. Normally I do. I have no problem talking about what I do in AA. Normally, I know I share almost every time. It's very rare for me not to, and it's also very rare for me not to share pretty quickly. Usually within 2, 3, or 4 people, I try to get it out of the way. No, yesterday I didn't, and I would say it's because, first of all, there were a couple new faces in there, so I was trying to kind of process that. There were a few people I'd never seen before, so I was kind of getting a feel for that. And then also once it got to about the third person, and I realized how people were talking, I kind of felt a little uncomfortable. I felt a little like there was a weird vibe in the room, and I didn't want to add or not add to it. Sometimes I'm good at bringing levity, but I didn't think I was going to be able to bring levity yesterday, and so I decided to sit back and listen.
Respect that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you from my experience, this is just my experience
Mm-hmm.
in the program. Definitely when any of this spiritual stuff comes up, people do act weird, and that's from my experience and what I've been told and throughout the years. That comes from your past. If you grew up Catholic, yeah, it's really super fucking strict. And any religion, you were possibly harmed by that religion and turned away from God. And so people are just hesitant and they don't know exactly what the higher power is. I don't complicate it because it just says God. So that's just my higher power, because I can overcomplicate the shit up. You think? But and another thing is, you said share with a friend or a family member.
Yes, it's somebody you trust. It's just it's supposed to be a person who supposedly you trust, or persons. It doesn't have to be person. It can be a multitude of people. It can be 2 people, 3 people, fucking 8 people. I preferred, what I did is I went around, I just shouted one fault into one person's face every hour for 48 hours. Was that wrong? And then I just spread it out among the world, I just shouted and then ran off, and to a stranger and then ran off, and then to another stranger and then ran off, and then to another stranger ran off. Is that? I actually ran over somebody's dog whenever I was fucked up, and then ran off, and then just. Logan said, personally, I like to picture my higher power as Chad Muska's character model from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Okay, fair enough. Absolutely. So that's just my thing is I think also is I'm going back through these 12 steps again, and I'm going back reading the book from the beginning, the whole deal, and I'm also trying to. I don't want to fully question it because it's working and it's worked for me, and I feel good about it. I feel good, and whenever I don't feel good, fuck it, I don't feel good about it. It is what it is. It's a program that's working for me. My question, as I'm questioning things, part of this, in a very large generic part, and I think you've heard me ask this in a meeting before, is I know that in the meeting, you're in the program. There's supposed to be this loss of ego. There's supposed to be this ego loss. By the way, also breathes of a cult. By the way, just so we all know, even in FBI definitions, when they talk about cults, they talk about people losing their ego and handing it over to whoever the leader. Now, yeah. And so one of the other things I'm questioning is this: is in that loss of ego, where do I find my self confidence? Doesn't self confidence come with a little bit of ego? And if so, how do you properly equal those out? Now, again, full disclosure, I definitely have too much ego. Definitely in the past, I've had way too much self confidence. But in the same respect, in that self confidence, I've also had the worst self esteem in the fucking world. So where is that? And I guess that's something you just learn over time. But where is that balancing act that happens? How does that balancing act happen of loss of ego, yet still enough self confidence to know your self worth? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it makes perfectly clear sense. What does anybody else think? I mean, me personally, whenever the I started seeing the promises in my life come true. Now, I'll tell you one promise. I know this is probably off the topic, not on cults, but fear of economic insecurity will leave us. I'm like, that's always.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I'm questioning that. Like, I've always questioned 20 years.
Yeah. I'm always gonna feel, dude. I could be a billionaire. I'm gonna feel poor. Like, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel what you will always have all your character defects through the program and staying safe one day at a time. Sorry.
It's all right.
Obviously.
Well, I didn't think it was your husband. I got to be honest with you. That yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we are hitting the 40-minute mark, and I hate to cut you off, but I have to move on to my next not as sad topic. So, but I don't think that was a sad topic. I think it's just a questioning topic, and I hope people take it that way. Yeah, I'm not trying to bring anything down. And again, I am definitely not trying to say anything bad about AA because I need it. I need it, and I love it, and I'm glad it's in my life, and it's done great things for me. But I also think it's fair that in life we question whatever we want to question. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, I just want to say that I love you and your husband very much, and I'm trying my best, and so are you, by the way. And give your husband for and I'll see you the next 2 days. Okay. Bye, hon. Talk to you later. Thank you. All right. So that was Casey. She called in into Instagram Live. Casey is fantastic. She has great fashion sense. And thank you again for calling in to talk about questioning whether AA might be a cult or not. That was very, very nice. That was a lot of fun. So again, you can find me on Twelve Brown. That's TWELVEBROWN. You find me under Facebook Live under Ronin Brown. That's RONINBROWN. And I am also on YouTube under Brushing Teeth with Robert or the Diametrically Agreeing Podcast, which both will change soon. Again, both will change soon. If you'd like to call in, feel free. 512-952-9489. Now, let's move on to another topic. We're at the 40-minute mark, so I'm going to make this one a little short. I decided to write down 5 stand-up specials that I really, really like, stand-up albums that I really, really like, and not in any particular order of greatest, just 5 that I liked. Just 5 that I like. And I think you should check out and see. So we're going to do, since I'm already at the 40-minute mark, you know what? We're just going to go through them. I have the time. Who cares? I'm not doing anything else. My big stomach anyways. And by the way, it's not that big. It's being fooled because there's a shadow here. So it looks bigger than what it is, just so you know. Fucking Logan. Okay, so I went ahead and went through a little bit of a list of what my five stand-up specials and albums that I liked a lot, and I think you should check it out also. And I think they'll be worth your time, and I think you'll laugh a lot. And hi, Dave. Hi. How are you? Dave the dog has decided to come say hi. Hi, baby boy. Mwah, mwah. I love you so much. Papa's almost done, I promise. Mwah. Okay. So, you want to come up? Come on. Come on. All right. So, Dave has decided to join me for the tail end of my podcast. Hi, buddy. Okay, so this is Dave the dog. He is fantastic. So let's get into it. Five stand-ups that I like. Not necessarily, again, my favorites. Not necessarily not my favorite. Just five that I like that I think you would like to. All right. I'm going to start from five to number one. Okay. Number five, Ari Shafir. Sorry, Ari Shafir on YouTube. It is free. It is called Jew. It is hilarious. Anybody who knows Ari Shafir, of course, you know him from Joe Rogan's podcast, of course. He used to also do a thing called World's Greatest Racist back in the day. Done a lot of, he's part of the Links, but highly suggest Jew. It's free. It's on YouTube. And the best part about it is this. So Ari Shafir, when he was younger, he actually went to rabbinical school. He was trained to be a rabbi. He was going to be an Orthodox Jew, as they call them. So there was, I guess, one point where he just woke up and thought it was bullshit and decided to leave rabbinical school in Israel. And he went to LA and decided to try to be a comic. He's hilarious. And so Jew is basically, it's a Jew telling you about what it's like to be a Jew. It's really good. The entire special is about that. And it's very well done. By the way, there's so many candles on stage. How he did not set the stage on fire, I do not know. But it's really good. Ari Shafir's Jew. Now, Nate Bargatze. Nate Bargatze is from Nashville, I believe, if I'm correct. His latest special is really good. It's called Hello World. He's pretty country. He does not do blue material. He does not curse, and I love that about him. Hi, you trying to get attention? I love that about him because he can make you laugh so hard. And Lord knows, I love my cussing. I love it. I love dirty jokes. I love really blue material, but he does not do blue material. In his newest one, which is called Hello World, he has a middle child joke that is just about one of the most perfect jokes I've ever heard in my life. It's easy, it's quick, it's one line, and if you don't catch it, it goes by way too quick. He does a great pause in which you have to be quick enough to see it, but it's such a perfect joke about being a middle child. So Nate Bargatze, Hello World. Now, number three is an oldie. And if my son is still watching, which you can also find him under m.built on Instagram, he loves this special along with me. It's Patrice O'Neal's Elephant in the Room. Now, R.I.P., the great Patrice O'Neal, one of my favorite comics of all time. Elephant in the Room was kind of many years before he died, but it was probably one of the bigger things he did. He talks about things like the cult of the missing white woman, which is so good. Dying or enjoying life. And as we all know, Patrice O'Neal eventually dies of diabetes. And male versus female love, which is pitch perfect. One of the great things about Patrice O'Neal is he was really good at breaking down the psyches of gender and gender with diametrics, and it's really good. Absolutely see it, and it's free on YouTube. That's another one that's free on YouTube. Nate Bargatze is on Netflix, I believe. I'm going to try to let you know what all these are on. Number two, I don't know where you can find it, and I haven't watched it in a while, but I did see a clip the other day, and it reminded me about how good it is. But Richard Pryor's Live on the Sunset Strip. Sorry, I know it's obligatory. I know that everybody's going to say it, but the honest truth is, these last two are really two of my favorites. They're not my number one favorites, but they are two of my favorites, and the reason why is they have a common thread. Richard Pryor's Live in the Sunset Strip is pretty much a comedian who just doesn't give a shit anymore. He doesn't give a shit. You already know all his bad shit. You already know all his good shit. You already know he's been in the news. You already know what he's done wrong. You already know, and he doesn't care because you can't take anything else from him. I love Live in the Sunset Strip. He talks about cocaine use. He talks about dealing with the mob in clubs. Like, it's a great, great special. Also, a little known trivia about Richard Pryor is he was the head writer on Blazing Saddles, and he actually was supposed to be in the head role. He gave up the lead role because he thought it would be a distraction for the audience. And then number one, I wrote Louis C.K. Sincerely. Louis C.K. Sincerely was his first comeback show. You can only find it on louisck.com. I highly suggest it. I had to stop this special 3 times because I could not stop laughing. That's how hilarious it was. Had tears streaming down my face. Every time I watch it, it's phenomenal. He does, oh my God, he does a bit about Auschwitz and his family escaping Germany during World War II. That is, oh my God, it's comedy gold. You can only find it on louisck.com. It's not the one he won the Grammy for. He won the Grammy for Sorry, which was the one after Sincerely, but he should have won a Grammy for this one as well. It's the same thing as Richard Pryor Live in the Sunset Strip. It is basically a comedian who doesn't give a shit anymore. He could care less because you can't take anything from him. And, you can't take anything else from him. You've already taken everything. So why shouldn't he just tell you what's on his mind? I love that comedian at the very, who's just like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. You're going to hear what I have to say. And generally it turns out just like comedy gold. Also, by the way, if you do subscribe to louisck.com, watch Horace and Pete. Horace and Pete was a TV show that he financed completely himself, directed, wrote, and it all takes place in a bar. Alan Alda, Steve Buscemi, oh man, Nick DiPaolo, Kurt Metzger. Like, there's so many people in this TV show. It's so good. Please watch it. And subscribe to louisck.com. I have no ties to it other than it's a great website and it's full of really, really funny, great stuff that Louis C.K. did. So, besides that, thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Logan, my son, for calling in. Please, you can catch him on Instagram under m.bvilt on Instagram. Please take a look. He posts all sorts of really cool stuff. I'd also like to thank Casey for calling in on Instagram Live. I believe it is Casey, KASSEY_BARRON on Instagram. She's hilarious. Her fashion sense is impeccable. I love her and her husband both. Thank you for both for calling in on my subject on whether AA is a cult. It's always nice to have a good open discussion about things that may make everybody feel a little uncomfortable. Also, I want to thank our sponsor, MarcoWillio.com, MarkoWillio. Remember, MarcoWillio.com for all your art and coffee needs. He creates art so he can get a larger penis. Again, we're just workshopping. We're workshopping slogans. He's workshopping them. So besides that, thank y'all for tuning in to the Wednesday. We made it. Yes, we're going to go out and play in a second. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for joining me. My next live podcast will be Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for coming and seeing me here. It was great. Again, on Instagram, TWELVEBROWN, Facebook, RONINBROWN. That's Ronan Brown. And then on YouTube, you can find me under Brushing Teeth with Robert or the Diametrically Agreeing podcast. It's been a great show. This was a good Wednesday. This was a good Wednesday show. I didn't know if anything was going to happen exciting, and all the exciting things happened. Um, Besides that, I want to leave you with a little quote, and it said, "I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me here. As long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be." I love those words, guys. Grant yourself some grace, give yourself some leeway, forgive yourselves, love yourselves, grab the world, give it a big old hug, pat on the ass, tell it how much you appreciate it, because I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this went well on YouTube and Facebook. It may not have, I don't know. It may have run slow and laggy and weird, but it did great on Instagram, so I'll take it there. All right. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you Saturday night, 8 o'clock, same spot, except I think I'm going to change the environment. I think I'm going to go do it at the dining room table, try to get a little professional look to this. We'll see how it works out. I love you all. See y'all Saturday. We made it halfway through the week. We can make it the rest of the way together. Love you all. Bye. All right. We'll end that one. Five video. Perfect. And then